Us. You are watching Simply Singletary TV, and I'm your host, Patrenna Singletary. With me today, I'm so very happy to have one of my best buds, Miss Y. Woods Harris. Y, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Patrenna. How are you doing?
I am fine, thank you. Y, I tell you, you've been having a busy day today, but before we go into that, I want to make mention that we are on location again today. Today we are at the beautiful salon of Seasons of Style. Seasons of Style is in Bartlett, Tennessee, and I welcome everyone else to come out. Miss Leslie Flemings is the proud owner of Seasons of Style, and her hours of operation are every day, pretty much, right? Yeah. And any closing times? Well, as a matter of fact, you want to stick your head around and say something? Yeah, come on over. We're going to have her come over.
This is my number 2 child and number 1 girl.
Yes, indeed. Say a few words for us, Leslie.
Hello, welcome to Seasons of Style. We are open by appointment Tuesday through Saturday, and we're located in the Bartlett area. So we would love for you to come out and let us give us the opportunity to make your hair beautiful and healthy.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And you are very welcome, and thank you for allowing us to be here today. Okay, now back to you, Y. So tell us a little bit about your day-to-day first, and then we'll go into other things.
Well, I am 11 months and 14 days into retirement. I retired from Baptist Hospital after 43 years. And today we had at Botanic Garden,
yes,
we had our centennial retirement and employee luncheon. I had a wonderful luncheon, had a wonderful preview, and met all my friends of 43 years.
Wonderful.
It was wonderful seeing them again.
Yes, a reunion of sorts.
It was a reunion. And so it's been an exciting day, but I think that every day from July 1st, 2011 has been exciting for me. So I'm always just so grateful for all of the things that have happened and the blessings to be able to retire and then to do what I call my passion and purpose, and that's to work with the American Cancer Society. Actually, several organizations, but they all embrace cancer research and cancer recovery. And so I always say that as cancer survivors are thrivers, and so we owe it to them to give them all that we can give them in this day and time.
You betcha, because that is running rampant in our society right about now. We're going to talk a little bit more about that on down the line. But I want to talk about first Wise Joyful Company. What is Wise Joyful Company? What does Wise Joyful Company do?
Well, I for years I have written poems, and I've compiled some books. But years ago, when I was working for Wings, I was volunteering at Wings, but I was working at West Clinic. But years ago, we did what we call a painting. And I had a friend who was a photographer, and she would just bring in her photography, and I would just sit down and write poems based on her photography.
Beautiful.
So we had a showing, and one of the poems that I wrote was Joyful Wings Y. And so I turned that into my email. It's joyfulwingsy@yahoo.com.
Remember that.
So I did that, and then once I decided that it was a good time for me to retire and do some of the other things that I like to do, I decided to, I had learned so much as a research nurse. I was a research nurse at Baptist for about 12 years, but I'd learned so much about people and their need to have somebody come alongside them and help them. So I started the company, and it's a community consulting company. And it's Wise, Joyful, and Company.
I love
and
that.
So one of the things when I first did it Wise, Joyful, and Company. But then I decided no, because it takes in so much, and I mean it actually takes in a world. I wanted to change it, and so on my business card I have the looking and listening with joy reflected, because what I found out is that there is such a joy in hearing the stories. And I tell people all the time, and there's some people are storytellers, and I love to talk, but I'm actually a story listener. So that when I hear somebody and I hear what they're saying, I hear their story, I hear where they're coming from. And one of the reasons, the offshoot of that is because I was doing grief and end of life issues. So one of the companies that I'm with is as a volunteer, and I'm the treasurer, is the MidSouth Comfort Care Coalition.
Yes.
And so we work with grief, end of life issues. But what I found out is that a lot of people think grief at the end of life, grief comes almost day one. And so there's always an opportunity to help somebody get through that journey.
It is.
So that when I did Wise Joyful Company, I just wanted to be there. There's one section where I like to, what I call is Meet Me at the MD. And that section is where I am helping families understand what the doctor's saying. I'm not trying to tell the doctor what to do. All I'm doing is being that second ear,
Right.
so that the people, when they hear things, and I don't know if you've ever had any type of diagnosis or any type of bad news,
Right.
and you actually shut down.
Yes,
You may
most
hear
definitely.
that first step, but
You betcha.
after that, people are explaining things to you, and the world seems like
You're in
it's,
its own.
it's at a stop. So
Right.
when I say meet me at the MD, I'm sitting there listening to the healthcare provider tell that person what's going on, so that when you walk out, and being a nurse 43 years, I have been the person that walked in after the healthcare provider had given them a diagnosis, and they say to me, well, what did they mean? What did what did they say?
Exactly.
And they have not heard anything.
Right.
And we go away sometimes thinking, even at me as a healthcare provider, well, I really did a good job on explaining that to them. And you may do a good job, but they don't have a good job in hearing what's going on.
The
So,
emotional
right,
level that they're
it's
in,
an
right?
very, and that's
Yeah.
those are the kind of things that you have to consider. So that's where I am with Wise Joyful Company. I'm actually just getting started. Leslie has been very good in helping me to as far as expenses. She was one of the people that helped me with getting to Washington to meet with the legislators.
Good
So
deal.
I'm always, when you're proud of your children, you're proud of your children. So
As
I'm
you should
always,
be.
I'm always proud of that. But that's where I come from. I've always been, even when I was a nurse on the unit, and as a nurse manager, and then I was a case manager before I went into research. But I was always the one that wanted to get to that family.
Right.
Because I knew the pain that they had.
Yeah.
And once they say once you have had anything to happen in your life, and you are, and you learn something, you should be telling somebody else. You should be helping
There you
somebody.
go.
So
You're so true. So
with the things that have gone on, we've had illnesses, we've had deaths, we've had job situations, so many things. And that's one of the things that I say, grief is not just death.
Right.
But grief is having being able to come through a situation and come through and be comfortable with what's going on.
Wow, that is fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And you have such a warm, comforting bedside manner.
Thank you.
You are definitely, this is your calling for sure. Definitely for sure. And you made mention of the Wings Cancer Foundation here in Memphis, Tennessee, which is housed inside of the West Clinic. And that's how and myself, we met, volunteering through the Wings Cancer Foundation. They do great work. So we just wanted to make mention of them. And also, you also spoke about Washington.
Yeah.
And how you went to rally on behalf of breast cancer. Matter of fact, there's a petition that wants to talk to us about, so that we can all get on board and help eradicate cancer, breast cancer in particular. So let's talk about that.
Well, the first time I went to Washington, which was in September of 2011, I went as a volunteer advocate for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.
Okay.
So that was my first experience with getting to meet the legislators and to learn how to come to them with what our situation was, what our purpose is. We're all gung ho and we want to do it right.
Exactly.
But there's a way that you approach anything. So we went there in September, and that was the time that I went to the Martin Luther King Monument.
Okay.
And it was like a light being open to me that, this is something that you enjoy doing. This is something that makes you smile. And so if you get an opportunity, again, always do that. So, and it was very wonderful. I got a chance to also go to Kentucky to learn how to do legislative advocacy.
Wonderful.
I went to Philadelphia to learn. So, and then came right back to Baltimore and Washington in May. And this is
Good
a trip
deal.
where I went for the National Breast Cancer Coalition.
Gotcha.
And that's where we are now. I have to say, I'm a part of the American Cancer Society, and so I'm pushing the cancer prevention study, which is a CP3 that we're doing here in Memphis. And we're trying to get recruiting people to sign up for that. And so we're doing that at Brown. They had that at Brown Baptist Church, and we're going to be doing one at Church Health Center, and also one at the Hickory Ridge Town Center. So
Good deal.
if you're interested in doing research and you want to help, and you're between the ages of 18 and 65, please go online and read about the CPS3 study. Okay, so I got that out because I'm helping out with that. I'm also helping out with the Convoy of Hope, which will be June the 30th. And what we're trying to do that, I love volunteering, as you can tell.
Yes, indeed. She
But
really does. She really does.
It's just so much excitement, and when people won't ask you for your help. So I know that they're going to be feeding more than 5,000 people.
Wow.
And they're giving them the food free. They're giving them
Fantastic.
groceries.
That's
They're
awesome.
also doing health care. And so that's one of the things that I'm working on now, is I'm going to be what we call a prayer assistant. They're going to have tents set up for prayer, for, just going to be a spiritual mind-body experience. So that's one of the great things about that. So I want to get back to National Breast Cancer Coalition, because that's the thing where we are now.
Gotcha.
As I told you when I got back, I was so excited, and Patrenna allowed me to talk about this and to just tell people how important it is to sign. It's called the Petition to the President. And what we're trying to do with the National Breast Cancer Coalition is to end cancer, breast cancer, by 2020. I know, if you look at anything that's going on, you know that we have been really fighting to get cures for cancer, to help people move through their treatment for more than, I think, I want to say 1961, that the president signed the law saying that we needed to end cancer, or for cancer research. So we've got all these organizations doing cancer research. We've got with all of the treatments. So we said in the National Breast Cancer Coalition, one of our missions, purposes, and goals is to say, let's set a date. Let's set a date. You know, when you're doing goals, they're gonna always tell you, you gotta have some time relation. You can't just say, oh well, I think if we did this, we would do that. But we've got to have something to fight for. So the date for the National Breast Cancer Coalition is to end breast cancer, not to do all this other stuff, but to end breast cancer. So that means that it takes in so much by 2020. And a lot of people don't realize, and I know that we just finished, all of us have heard about Robin Roberts.
Yes, indeed,
and
yes.
You say, a lot of times they used to say, well, if you get clear 5 years, you're okay. But as you can see, she has been fighting this disease for 5 years, and you don't just fight it one day and it goes away.
Exactly.
You fight it every day. Every day you go to the doctor's office and you have a test, to check to see if you've had it come back. You are in fear of what can happen, the results of it. And that's exactly what happened to her. And so we've got all this information, and I think that's courage for her to say, yes, this has happened to me, to come and come to work. And that's one of the things that a lot of people don't like to tell, because they don't know how people are going to perceive it, or how they're going to what they're going to say. So many times that emotional piece of breast cancer is such a part of what's going on with that person. I mean, I said to them, well, let's be positive. Let's think about where you come from.
Sure.
And I really liked what Robin said. She said, I want to tell the people, don't be afraid because what you hear me say, that I have, these are the things, these are trials that I have to go through.
Right.
Not everybody will have those trials, but I think the awareness is what's so important.
Yes.
In cancer deadline is more than just stop the physical part. It's the mental, the emotional, the spiritual piece. We all have to get, and I'm a pursuant of prayer, and so I'm always going to include that. That's got to be included in my, whatever I do, whatever I embrace.
Right.
And so I think that's one of the things that I want people to know about Wise Joyful Company. It's not just somebody dealing with the physical part. It's taking in everything that's going on with you, mind, body, and spirit.
That's right.
And helping you as you move through that. So that's one of the reasons I love my name, Wise Joyful Company.
Yes, indeed. And it just rolls off your tongue, too. You know, and if you're not happy, when you say that, Wise Joyful Company, you got to make me smile.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I
automatically
want to make
makes you
smile.
happy. And you know, the work that you do is so very needed.
Thank you.
And I thank you for doing that. And one thing that I want to touch on before we move on is the fact that you did bring up Robin Roberts. And I want to send a special message to Robin.
Please do.
Robin, our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Yes.
You are one of my mentors, and I will definitely keep you in my prayers, as well as commend you, as Wise said, for sharing your story, because you just don't know who you're helping by sharing your story.
And not only is she helping even the cancer survivors, the thrivers, but the caregivers, because you know we so many times when things happen to family members, we're grasping for things to hold on to. So to watch her and even watching her sister, you know, she said my big sister's going to you know be the donor for me. So I mean, if that doesn't make you think about family and the love that comes forth, I don't know what will.
So close-knit. Very close-knit.
And so I think that's one of the things that we have to realize is that we're having these situations, and our responsibility is to help somebody as they go through it.
That's it.
You're not going to be able to cure all of the things immediately, but most certainly do everything that will help. If it's research, reach to recovery, anything that you're doing. I'm getting ready to go to Florida in August, and for the American Cancer Society and the Reach US. And so one of the things that we do is just try to hold on to what we can, what will make it easier for somebody. I'm a part of the Shelby County CATS group, and that's a community action team. These are a group of women who have had cancer or had family members have had cancer. And their responsibility is to come right on and help that person once they've been that diagnosis. Just like, you know, one person can't do it, so you've got to have a group.
That's right.
And so they come together and help the women in Memphis.
Good deal.
And there's so many in Memphis. And one of the things that we have to say is that if you know anything about breast cancer and metastasis, you know that so many times we as Black women are so busy taking care of other things, taking care of family, taking care of other things, and we do not take care of ourselves. So if you've got somebody to come alongside you, said, okay, when have you had your mammogram? When have you had a checkup? You know, and so I remember one lady so clearly. She was in the hospital. Her husband was in the hospital, and I said to her, you know, she was on medication, and I said, are you taking your medicine? She said, if I take my medicine, then my husband won't have money to buy his medicine. And so here she is sitting up with high blood pressure. Oh my gosh. But her husband's illnesses were very visible. Sure. And so she saw that, but she was, in her own way, she was destroying herself. Exactly. And I said, you know, they tell you every time you're on the airplane, put on your oxygen mask first before you try to help somebody. So that's one of the things that I talk about, and I say, I know I probably sound like I'm fussing, and I am, but we as women have to tell each other that you must take care of yourself. So, whether it's breast cancer or any type of cancer or any kind of chronic illness, and that's one of the things that they talk about, the fact that cancer used to be a death sentence, but now it's a chronic illness. So as you are living with a chronic illness, as you're waiting on that cure, then you have to do all the things so that you're ready once to receive that. So that's one of the things that I think we must continue to say every day. And so every time I get an opportunity, I love teaching, and so every time I get an opportunity to help somebody with, you know, even if I'm at church and somebody's sick, and I said, okay, tell me about your medicine, tell me about what you're doing for yourself, just to make them aware that you have got to help yourself. And so it's the same way with whether it's cancer or any other illness.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh. You know, and it makes us think too. Yeah. Because we as women, especially the women piece, you know, ladies, take care of yourselves first. Take care of yourself. And then others, you know. but we have to make sure that we're fit,
Right.
you know, in order to be able to take care of others.
So I haven't had, and you know, you can't, no matter what, if you are sick,
Mm-hmm.
you are not able to take care of somebody.
Right.
So what happens is then it ends up that you made yourself sick, that family member may be sick, and so then now you then have to find somebody to take care of the two of you. So if you don't want that to happen, take care of yourself as you're doing that.
Exactly. And one last thing, and then we're going to close. Back to Robin Roberts again with her illness, MDS.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people know exactly what that is and what that entails, but I did see something about pre-leukemia.
That's correct. That's what it's called.
And the piece that I wanted to touch on was the fact of bone marrow donors and the need for bone marrow donors.
Yes, for any donor.
Right,
donors.
Exactly. So can you speak to that about organ donations as a whole, or just however way you want to go?
And as you know, even here in the city, right now we're having this conversation about donor sites and how many donors are present and whether it's kidney, liver, or whatever. But in the bone marrow, one of the things that they said that Robin has going for her is that she has found a close enough donor, somebody that's a pretty good match. But so many times, and I want to be sure and say this, is so many times that we as African American, we are expecting people to have to be a match.
Sure.
But we don't donate, so we don't have a match available. So what I can say is that if you think about it, so many times there was just recently a statement where a donor saved, I think it was 4 people, saved 4 people because of their different organs. So
that's awesome.
If you can do that, I mean, if there's nothing else going on with you, and you talk to your doctor, talk to your family.
Sure.
That's one thing I want to say, because I've seen so many times people say, well, I'm going to be a donor. And then the family says, oh no, I don't know anything about that. I'm not going to let that happen. So this is just like end of life, wills, things, all of those things.
Yes.
They have to be there has to be a family discussion.
Most definitely.
So donors have to be family discussion. It needs to be. We need to talk about things that are happening as far as end of life, any situation that will put your family out. I mean, there's so many. If you go to court, there's so many suits just because one family member didn't tell another family member.
It happens.
And they make the decision, or you know, I've been in the hospital room where you got family on one side, one side family. Well, I think she wanted to be a donor, or this person said, well, I knew she wanted to be a donor, but it's not written anywhere, and so you can't. I mean, you can't make an agreement. So. I guess if I had to talk about things that I think is so important that we need to look at today,
sure,
those things are taking care of yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally. The next thing is take care of the financial pieces in your family, so that you don't have that type of argument. That
happens to everyone.
It is so much grief to a family to have to make a decision.
Sure.
Just recently, I was in the company where a decision had to be made, and we wasted a lot of valuable time because nobody could make a decision.
Right.
I think we have to do it beforehand.
Exactly.
It has to be done. And so if you don't do anything else with your family, then go to your family and say, tell me what you want. Tell me what you're thinking. And at least hear it if you don't get them to write it down.
And here's the biggest thing, and we're gonna close with this, is that a lot of people don't want to talk about it. It's like it's gloom and doom.
Yeah.
You know, why do you want to know this? I'm not going anywhere anytime. So we've got to dismiss that. We've got to dismiss those thoughts. So can you talk about that a little bit? You know, how can we overcome that gloom and doom? And talk about
I think the thing that has to happen, and it has to happen before there's an emergency.
Right.
And it has to be something that you just, it's like everyday thing. It's like if you decide you're gonna have chicken on today, then you say, no, let's have chicken today. Then the conversation about end of life issues and things that you want to happen. And people think end of life, then I'm not going to die. But end of life means that you could be in a hospital for 6 months you know, with nobody able to make a decision.
Right.
So it's not just the deaf. And so I say to people every time, there's so much information out that we don't take advantage of. You can go online now and find out about end of life. You can find there's all kinds of organizations that are included, and so many of the health professionals they have organizations that are doing that. So I would say to you, run, don't walk. And find out something that will help your family.
Exactly. That's wonderful. And what a wonderful way to close. Why? I thank you so very much for being with us today. Just valuable information that she has shared with us. And how can we contact you if we want more information about the petition and all of that other?
I like I said, I'm a part of the MidSouth Comfort Care Coalition. Our website is midsouthcomfortcare.org. When you go on our site, you will find even copies of living wills. There's all kind of information, and we also are a part of a speaker organization. And so we go to faith-based build, to all areas and talk to people about end of life and grief and all those things. The other organization that I'm a part of is, and I wanted to get the petition. That's Breast Cancer Deadline 2020.org. There you can go and sign the petition. The other organization is American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.org, and that is the part that where if you want to volunteer for the American Cancer Society, you can go to the cancer.org site, or either to the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. I can be reached. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn.
Yes.
I'm on Yahoo. So you can, like I said, my email is joyfulwingsy. That's JOYFULWINGSWY @yahoo.com. I'd love to hear from you. I just want us to do better with our education, with our teaching, with our healing, and more than that, I want us to have the best quality of life to deal with anything that comes forward.
Yes, indeed. Again, why I thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And you know I love you too, right?
You know I love
you. Yes, indeed. So that is it for us today. And one more quick thing. You may have noticed that we came to you one day early. Today is Thursday. What's the 14th? Yeah, June 14th. I almost forgot the date. So we were not going to be broadcasting live on tomorrow due to a schedule conflict, but we will be back on next Friday, back on regular schedule. So, but we wanted to make sure that we got Miss Y. Woods Harris in today because we knew she had a lot of information to share with you. And please remember to keep Robin Roberts in your prayers, and to be a bone marrow donor or an organ donor as a whole. We would really appreciate it. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll be talking with you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Patrenna. That's
You're
wonderful.
welcome. Doesn't look like it. No, I didn't record. That was a live broadcast. Wow. I'm not sure I hit that. Oh, well.